What is going on, y'all? Maybe I put it over here. Y'all can see me a little better. Not sure. Let's see if that works. Y'all gotta bear with me. I am driving. Wanted to talk to you guys really quick, and I'm gonna hop on and hop off of here. You know, something I was thinking about is you want to be grounded in your belief systems. Now, understand when I say this, and you'll understand what I'm going to say next. Just as well as you want to be grounded in your belief systems, you also have to understand how certain things that is grounded in your belief systems, it's okay to change and adapt and to bring and to have basically a different concept. What do I mean? I'm going to give you an example. I was counseling somebody and they were talking to me about how in their culture, they're not big on showing affection, etc., etc., etc. So therefore, they have been groomed and conditioned to not show affection. And that was their belief system. So they don't necessarily think there's anything terribly wrong with that. And so when we begin to talk about certain things like, so what would you like? Would you like a person to be affectionate towards you? And this was a male. And he said, well, you know, now that I'm getting older, definitely, I do realize the importance of showing affection. And not only that, showing my children affection. So when I say grounded in your belief systems, there are things that we learn in our belief systems that are culturally, whether it's socially, you know, grandmama did it, grandmama did it, mama, you know, we go through that whole line. But I have learned that over time, you want to find what your belief system is. And that's important because then once you figure out what your belief system is, and we all will kind of grow up with our cultures, right? It's okay to begin to recognize, you know what, maybe that doesn't work for me anymore. It doesn't mean what mama and them said and grandmama and them said was terrible. That worked in those times. There are certain things that were done because of certain times we were living in, right? You have all different certain things that people have gone through. It's not just African Americans, right? You have Jews, different cultures. So it's important to know what your background is and to be grounded in it. But it's just as important to be able to recognize, you know what, maybe this needs to shift a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't just only adapt this belief system. Here's why that'll be a benefit to you. Because when you meet another person outside of your family, they're going to have their belief system, and you don't want to shy away or push away or just be so rooted in what you believe that you're not willing to adapt and make certain adjustments for the sake of the relationship. This is even in just intimate. You could have a friend. And what happens is we'll try to tell somebody what their belief system, oh, well, that's wrong. We don't do things the other way, right? You don't. But we also have to be understanding and be open to the way other people do things. I meet people all the time that are not, let me give you an example, affectionate. But because I'm an affectionate person, I can't just go in and force you to be affectionate. What we have to do is we have to come together, and I have to say, you know, this is why I desire affection. This is what my family is like. You know, we loud talkers. We love on you. We kiss you 50,000 times. Hey, babe, you know, that's just us. We're very catering. We're very much so servants. And so, again, in terms of the affection part, I can meet somebody and they can say, oh, I'm not affectionate at all. Again, this is just not intimate relationships. Friends could just be like, yeah, you know, I'm not really into being close to my friends and da-da-da. But if you want to cultivate something that is good and that is healthy, you want to find a balance. Because just like I don't want somebody to tell me, no, I just can't do affection, and then neglect that and make me feel neglected in that area, I also have to understand that they not going to be affectionate all the time. And that has to be okay as well. I have to adapt that. Hey, sometimes if you want to be over there by yourself or not talk on the phone as much or talk as much or be lovey-dovey or hold hands, whatever affection looks like to a person, that's okay. Because it's not fair for me to tell them something is wrong with them, and it's not fair for them to tell me something is wrong with me. It's for us to come to the table and for them to say, you know what, I'm willing to make some adjustments so that you can feel loved and secure or whatever the case may be. And you know what I also have to say? And I'm also willing to not overwhelm you in that area, to try to force you to be something that you're not. Because we all have to do things we don't always want to do. We all have to comply to things we don't always want to comply to. But what I find is when it comes to relationships, we be so stuck, like, I ain't doing that for nobody. And it's like, wait a minute, but you go to your job every day, and whether you want to be there or not, you gonna punch in. And granted, you're getting paid, but do you not know that in relationships, if you do something for a person, if their heart is in the right place, you get quote unquote paid back too. They're not gonna they shouldn't come into it only wanting to receive. They should want to give. You shouldn't come into it only wanting to give. You should also want to receive. But you have to know what you're rooted in. You have to know where you come from. You have to know, why is my family dynamic like this? And I said this before, we talk about breaking generational curses. You can't break a curse you don't know nothing about. You can't break a curse that you didn't even know exists. You can't break a curse if you feel like certain characteristics only starts with you. Another example, this also speaks into affection. A lot of times we get neglected in certain areas by our parents. I've counseled several people and they'll say, my parents never told me I loved, never said that they loved me, never hugged me, never this, never that. That's not just the African American culture, it's several cultures. And then I've counseled people where they'll say, you know, I do the same thing to my kids, but I know that they want me to show them love, but it's just so hard. And then I've counseled the kids that say, you know, I just wish my mom would just love me more. My mom's never just said, I love you. My dad's never just said, or whoever's raising me never just said, right? And so I have heard parents recognize that they have acknowledged and recognized, I can tell that my daughter or my son is deficient in that area. I can tell that they're yearning for my love, but because nobody's ever taught me that, it's hard for me to get it, or it's hard for me to give it, or it's hard for me to understand it. But you know what the best thing is? They say, but you know what, Jennifer or Miss Carly, I want you to help me through that, because I see the kind of person that made me. And I have to have those tough conversations with those parents, where I have to say, let's be realistic. How do you think that it fared you well by not being told you were loved, not being told that someone's proud of you, not being told it's okay to make mistakes, I'll still be there for you? Do you feel like you're the best person in the world, or do you feel like you can make improvements? You know, I feel like I can make improvements. So that goes to show you that you are aware of the deficiency, which means your child will probably grow up with the same deficiency. Do you want them to grow up like that? No, I don't. Because isn't the goal is we want our children to have better than what we had? We want to teach them things we didn't know. And so they come out and say, you know what? That's what I want to do. That's how I want to be. And help me change that. And typically what happens is when I help them through that process, guess what? Those chains start to break off. Now they're able to go to their parents and say, you know, Mom, I want to talk to you. You know, you never told me you love me. And I want you to know how important that is. But guess what happens? They'll then find out that their mother, meaning their grandmother, never told their mother that they were loved. And so they'll begin to see. So now you're now, what does that mean? Now you become aware of the generational curse. See, generational curses isn't just a one size fit all. Generational curses can lie in emotion, mentally, physically, our thought process, how we are, our anger, how we perceive things. See, we got to know, if we trying to break a generational curse, you got to know what that thing is. And some people don't even realize it could be something as simple as affection, or as simple as words of affirmation. You think you fight these serious battles, and it's like, let's just start with breaking the generational curse of validation. Some of y'all parents never even validated y'all. Or abuse. You just think, I just got beat, so I grew up to be angry. But if you don't know what your foundation is, and if you're not rooted in it from the good perspective, you can't pass something on. And if you too rooted in it from an unhealthy perspective, you'll certainly pass that on. And then we wonder why we have people that are adults still struggling, because all that means is your body got bigger, stronger, taller, your feet grew, right? Your breasts started to form, your thighs got a little larger, your chest got a little thicker, your muscles, but you still a little kid. So all we are children in adult bodies in the areas we're deficient in. And so what happens is we're raising our children the same way we didn't want to be raised. And then we wonder why when they get older, they dealing with a bunch of problems. And we swear, well, I raised you better than that. No, you didn't. Because you only focused on the things that you thought you knew. But you forgot it's more to generational curses than just what seems like the obvious. Communication. The breach of communication, the lack of communication could be a part of your generation. And you have to break that curse of healthy communication, being able to articulate. Here's another one that might not be obvious. Education, literacy. I know people right now where the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter can't read or have a third grade education because everybody dropping out. But you wouldn't think that that would be a generational curse. Anything that you continue to pass on from generation to generation that has cursed you and have given you the ability or the lack of the ability to be able to advance, to be better, to grow, you got to break that curse. You got to break that off of your family. You got to break that off of your children. So you're not looking at your son or daughter as an adult saying, man, you remind me of me. No, there's only certain characteristics I want my son to remind me of. Other things I want to say, I want to be able to say and be proud to say, you're better than me in that area. Why? Because I'm still working on certain things, but I'm trying to teach him how to be better than me. Don't grow up with anger issues. Don't grow up with low self-esteem. Don't grow up with et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You understand my examples? Here's another one. The generational curse of poverty. But see, we don't think about those things on how to break some of that stuff off. You understand? So don't just know what you rooted in. The things that you rooted in, and don't be blind and be dumb like, well, I'm gonna just do this because this is what my family taught me. That ain't always good. Because you seen grandmama do it and your daddy do it and okay, what does it sound like? Gang banging. We're gang banging. We're gang banging. Yeah, I see my pops gang bang. I see my cousins gang bang. So that's all I knew. You got to break that. I seen my mama cheat. I seen my daddy be a dog. I don't know no better. You got to break that. Ain't nobody ever taught me how to communicate and understand my feelings. You got to break that. Well, you know, that's just not how we do it in our family. We don't talk about our problems. You got to break that. And everything is a healthy balance. I'm not saying you find people and just pour out all of your problems. No, you don't need to be telling everybody everything. But you also don't need to be so engulfed in your emotions and in your feelings that you don't know how to communicate. I love y'all. We'll talk soon.